Hi, Kevin Blanch. I want to break down a whole bunch of stereotypes people are throwing at me. Look, if you try to stereotype me, good luck. I've been misunderstood my entire life. It's not going to work. Yeah, I use the word fuck over and over and over. There is a method behind my madness. I use that word intentionally. Intentionally. Look, I'm a big believer that the left in this country went extremely soft. Please, the left was not soft all the time in this country. And who I am or what I am, you try to stereotype me. Yeah, I'm a middle-aged white male who uses the word fuck over and over, who got raised a Mormon, who lives in Utah. I get him, oh God, well I expect you to be a homophobe. Please, please, I've been misunderstood my whole life. I am the historian. I am the artist. I am the economist. Look, I'm not an academician, though I'm educated. I'm not a grunt, though I'm a worker. I'm a lot of things, but I surely am not a middle-aged, white, middle-class Mormon in the stereotypical hypothesis that everybody has in their mind. That is not me, so don't take me down that freaking road. Look, if you want to know everything about me, go to my website, Blanch Swartz. Click on the top. I wrote an article about the 1911 Shirtwaist Triangle Fire. Read it. When I'm an artist, when I write, I am huge about metaphors. I am gargantuous about metaphors. Metaphors have power, real power. When I do a video, what I wear, the things behind me have huge metaphorical significance. You know, that's who I am. That's what I'm about. I love classic literature. I'm a guy who walks around with a list of Steinbeck quotes in my wallet. I mean, I don't even know why I got the list. I can quote them all anyway. I'm a guy who walks around with all 27 amendments list in my pocket. I talk about them all the time. I'm a guy who walks around with a copy of the little sketches out of Rachel Carson's book. I'm a guy who walks around with a copy of Moby Dick. I mean, I love classic literature. I love Mark Twain. I love metaphors in the written word and the spoken word. I love them. We all use metaphors every freaking day. We wear them in what we wear, or the car we drive, or the bicycle we ride, or the public transportation we take. It means so much. I know that in the subconscious. So don't stereotype me because I go fuck, 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 fuck. There's a method behind my madness. And it's to try to bring awareness out of stereotyping people. Look, I almost lost hope. I almost gave up like so many people. But I get tons of emails from a lot of different people. There's a lot of intelligent people out there. You know, and I get some emails from all kinds of different people. But I got a guy arguing me back and forth about NAFTA. You know, because I go off my fuck NAFTA. And his argument's we can't go back. I'm like, what kind of fucking argument is that? You guys know my saying by now. Cordial conversations are dangerous. Passionate, intelligent arguments get results. I'm all about it if it's got some substance and intelligence about it. Look, I feel like this. This is my favorite piece of art I ever did when I was young. And I dropped it and I broke it. That's how I feel. I feel like we're all starting over and we're dropped and we're broken. Look, we're all in this together whether you like it or not. And don't stereotype other people. Don't stereotype me. I want to read a poem that I wrote in my book that'll tell you a lot about me. I love using run-on sentences. I love using poor grammar. I love using capital sentences in the middle of words. I remember when I was in college, I was doing integrated studies before anybody even knew what integrated studies was. And I wrote the same paper, and I sent it to 5 different professors. Identical paper and 5 different things. 3 D's, 2 A's. Gary Dorr, I remember the English professor, when he wrote it, he says, wow. You know, he says, I love it, I love it. You know, it's pretty crazy. I love abstract impressionism. I'm a huge Jackson Pollock fan. I love minimalism. My favorite place in the world is in October here in Utah to go out to Spiral Jetty and sit there and have a picnic. I love the sign. I love a hawk and trowel in my hand going across doing a fresco. That's who I am. I love history. I'm a huge fan of Alexander Hamilton's. I'm a huge fan of Thomas Jefferson's. I'm a huge fan of freaking Franklin Roosevelt's. I'm a huge fan of Teddy Roosevelt. I'm a huge fan of Mariner Eccles. I can't stand Greenspan, the fake hairsprayed freaking lover. I cannot stand the McCarthys of the world who have turned into the Sean Hannitys of the world. They make me sick. I hate ignorance. I hate this neo-ignorant. I am pissed, and I love to use the word fuck, and I use it intentionally. And the metaphors that I use on the wall, what I wear, they have meaning. They have meaning. Metaphors are powerful. There is a method behind my madness. See Dick and Jane, see how they run. As I write per se, as I paint per se, as I think per se, as I think per se. I am not anal as the masses per se. I am pure in minded status filled with a musical divine path of now and whereas my life. As a 30-year-old, as an 8-year-old, as a 50-year-old, listen, read, and think, always think. I never forgot he or him or they, my teachers, my mentors, my friends, my looked up to. I stood and sat and played recess for all 50 years in the Art Deco Mecca of West Weber Elementary and all the other Leslie Hodson masterpieces. Mrs. Smith, my second grade teacher in the said masterpiece. The first, one of many in my life. His art, his mind, it reached out with government-backed money, WPA. Mormon artists with craft and skill with their backs, their brains, their work ethic, beehives, remember? She, the wife of the greatest educator himself. She was brilliant. She knew my brain early. She helped me to the library where I never left. I found a book on life in that library. I was 8. Malay, Van Gogh, Michelangelo, a hawk and trowel, a fresco, a paintbrush, a Friedenecker. Go, Mets, Masons, both kinds. Or are they the same? I don't think that. I split my own rock. I have held the stones that the Mormons went to push down in the army in my hands. I have stones Hodson's Masons carved out in the walls. I am a purist in every authentic format. I am a very good English grammar and French speller and user. I do know how to permeate literature. I was using Shift F Control before anyone my generation could spell it. Go 60 my Mets. 2 rookies, Tom and Nolan. Next year, Earl. You did it. I had a resistor. I listened to all of it. A grand slam by a pitcher, a shortstop with a lifetime .67. All my gift teachers in all the great school system we used to have. An art professor at Weber State in 1992. I was 32 in full flight of sex and money as a young man. But the learning was a love and a true love. It was still working. I pinned my work on the critique board that day. You could see her eyes. She stared at me for a while. She did not know what to say. Finally she said, "Are you going to be an art major?" Jane, "No, economics, finance." After class, she came up to me outside the union, the same union I shook Bobby Kennedy's hand in 1968, and was engaged by him in pure friendly speech. The same union his son, 4 years later, to the same square inch of space. I always focused on space. The critique on the wall where I write in the lab now. She said, "Can I talk to you?" "Yes." "You know when you use a line or a color or an object or a tiny dot, it all has meaning?" She paused. "You don't. You know that, don't you?" "Yes." Jane, the smartest of the brilliant teachers I ever had. I write like I paint like I live like I want, and I smile when I write and or paint. Look, really look at my paintings. I use little tiny Mets. They did beat the O's in '69. Earl was my favorite. I use tiny and big metas in all of my work. There are thousands of my plaster metaphors all over Ogden. Many have been covered up with styrofoam and paint. Some are being taken apart like Christmas presents. Underneath are my tiny marks, all different. Use my mark. My chicken foot, some have called it. They are all over Ogden, 24 on Washington Boulevard alone. So when I write, don't correct me, Eddie, ended up with the Mets, from the O's, from the Dodgers, not Brooklyn or LA, Ogden. Every tiny word or line or the stain on her dress have meaning in regard to art. Hundreds or thousands in one work, by many or one or two. Please don't make me Orwellian. I hate it. That's not all, folks. Folks, wow, in 2010. Who would have thunk it, Clem? Not me. I have been living the country and western version of Hamlet, bar the ending. I am a lover, not a fool. Not a big anyway. Fool, too big a fool. Kevin Blanch. This is my favorite piece of art I ever did when I was a boy, and that's how I feel. I feel freaking like America is broken and an infant again. Let the neo-ignorance of the last 30 years end. Let it fucking end. Let a new era begin of post-ignorance. Let it begin. It started. We have a new era started. And it's going on in the Middle East right now with a young, poor, but educated. You take poverty and you mix it with education, you got a perfect recipe for revolution. We need a mental revolution in this country. We need to think again. We need to put the neo-ignorance of the past away for 30 years. 30 years, it's over. Post-ignorance. That's who I am. Don't stereotype me. I use the word fuck. I have a method behind my madness.